Hello, it's me RJB, and we're back live from my bedroom this time, where I'll be bringing you some excitement, some action from the fastest map of Korea. Today we've got 458 playing the purple Protoss here on the middle left of the map, middle right of the map. And here on the bottom corner on the middle... Jesus Christ. And here on the bottom corner on the bottom left of the map, we've got KIMKISSAN. KIMKISSAN is known to be one of those very weird players, to be honest. He's got extremely good fundamentals, amazing macro micro. He's an insanely fast player with APMs and EAPMs going into the 300s. His EAPM is honestly stupidly high. But his brain, his IQ, sometimes is not. He tends to do some weird strategies sometimes. For example, when he's Protoss, he will always try to force Dark Templars no matter the situation. My voice isn't feeling too well. Alright. He's gonna make sure my sound settings are done correctly. One lower. Should that do the trick? Alright, so he starts with a +1 command center, which already shows that he likes to do some wacky stuff from time to time. 458 also on that +1 nexus. And he's going for... Well, he went for a gateway +1 nexus, then a pylon there on the top side. So I'm expecting a forge. But this also is a pretty not so ordinary order to build. Because usually we see nexus, 2 gateways, nexus, or we see a nexus to the forge, pylon in the choke, and then a gateway, and then 2 cannons in the choke, of course. Or we see a gateway gas. But this time he's flipping things around, and it's honestly a little bit risky, because if his opponent was right next to him, and if his opponent didn't start off with a +1 command center, and if his opponent started with a 8-10 barracks and went for a very early SCV scout, like this, but having units to back it up, this might have turned out very, very painful for 458, so do keep that in mind. This is pretty much a gamble start from 458, where he plans to get some sort of a lead very early on, just to get himself ahead, economically speaking. So now the 2 cannons are on the way. Had KIMKISSAN been closer, Marines would now be arriving on the scene, and those cannons would be in danger of going down. Though he does have 2 zealots out, which would have helped him defend. But that's not the case this time around. Zealots are doing the scouting. There comes the gas at 2542, and of course the Savannah score at 2542 as well. Although you could call it 2642. Plus a little bit arbitrary, because it's more important that he has it than the exact timing is important. I always personally like to look at my minerals. When can I build it? This is when I can build it, because I've got the minerals, and sometimes there's a small bit of fluctuation in the exact timing. So I might as well just look at the minerals. Can I afford it? And just think, what building is next? Can I afford it? And then the timestamp is more or less to see if you're on track. Fastest map is in that sense a lot more fluid compared to regular maps, where exact timings are very, very important. On fastest map you can deviate a little bit here and there, as long as you get the general idea, the general strategy and the general plan executed correctly. So a very quick citadel of Dune, and there is no robotics facility. So this has to be some very wacky build, where he's going for Dark Templars. Otherwise I would not. Otherwise I can't explain why he's got a Citadel of Dune, honestly. He does have a lot of zealots on the way, so he's planning something. KIMKISSAN is starting a choke somewhat, bunker there in the front. Already has a factory on the way. He's on 20, almost 30 SCVs, but he's making a scan now so he can see what 458 is up to. Trying to get himself some information. Engineering bay, barracks, yeah, the usual stuff coming down for KIMKISSAN. Another bunker here right next to it. There is no detection yet, but our Templars are not yet on the way. He is not even making. 458. You're throwing feints left and right with your build order. Nothing is what it seems. You're doing things I wasn't expecting. Mostly because I haven't seen it before and I'm just kind of guessing in terms of what he can do and what he should be doing or could be doing. There's a Templar's Archive. He did go for a double robotics, so his shuttle is soon on the way. There is the support bay, also on the way. Single cannon there, of course, just in case that there's fighter bats coming in trying to kill those probes. There is the scan. What does he see? He sees Robo, he sees another Robo, he sees 3 gateways. That's a lot of information there for KIMKISSAN that is going to be useful for him, because now he can start preparing himself for the anti-drop phase. Which is definitely what 4 of 8 is up to. Because I don't think he's going to make Reavers. I might be wrong, and correct me please if I am wrong. But it looks like he's going for... This is very odd, honestly. It's a lot of gateways. He's adding on very, very early. He is making a single Reaver, 2 Reavers in fact. So he's going for a frontal attack. This is kind of a variation of the +2 gateway into a single added nexus, where you go for double Reaver synced up with Zealot lags. I don't know if he's got Zealot lags, but I haven't been paying attention too well. Psionic Storm also on the way. More gateways being added on there on the top side. KIMKISSAN has finished the wall there in the front. Finished. Almost finished. Turrets there on the side, getting vision up on the hills as well. Moving Marines there onto the sides to get himself some extra vision of drops that are about to be flying in. And 4 of 8 is setting up here in the front, waiting for his 2 Reavers to finish. Shuttle picks them up. Shuttle's going to fly up over to the front here. KIMKISSAN is prepared himself really, really well, because he's got 2 raids already finished up, and there's nothing that can attack those raids, so the shuttle is going to go down. And 4 of 8 will be forced to unload, and he will be denied his ability to Reaver Shuttle Micro. So great choice there to get the raids. KIMKISSAN kept himself very well prepared for this one. Starts taking down the Reavers there in the back. Reavers go down. The frontal attack has failed. KIMKISSAN prepared himself and repelled it perfectly. This is pretty much the best example imaginable of how to hold this build order by 458. Although usually it is a little bit different, the idea is the same. You start off with Zealot lags, double Reaver, and a shuttle, and you try to push through the front using the range on the Reavers to take down those depots there in the front. Then your Zealots run in, you fly your Reavers a little bit in closer, try to snipe the 2 tanks, and that's basically it. So here, KIMKISSAN was using a scan to keep track of when those shuttles were leaving the base. He saw them move up to the top side, so he tried to track them with the raids, but 458 honestly avoided them really well. Either he knew, or he was just guessing. Maybe he knows that KIMKISSAN is a very aggressive player, because these 2 players have played together or against each other a lot, very often. So maybe he knows that KIMKISSAN is out there hunting for shuttles, given that he keeps scanning the front there. He scans it again. No, he scanned the side. Where did he scan? There he goes. He's chasing the shuttles. Shuttles are going in on both sides. These are not going in. Got spotted. He took down both shuttles and loaded a single Zealot there on the low ground, but the Zealot goes down before it deals any damage. But a drop here on the side, preparing to go in. No, he pulled it back. It's the Dragoons clearing vision, because 4 of 8 knows that if he goes in with the shuttles that got spotted by the engineering bay, they're going to get taken down by the Marines that have already been moved into position. So it's better to just preserve those shuttles than to send them in and waste them. So Fleet Beacon is already on the way. He's got 2 cybernetics cores. He's making a whole slew of Stargates here on the bottom side of his base. So carriers are definitely on the way. So it looks like 4 of 8 is going for a drop tech into carrier build order. And honestly, now is a really, really great window for KIMKISSAN to try and counterattack. But of course, he can also decide to turtle. He's waiting for the next round of scans before he makes his next choice, because he doesn't have this information yet. He doesn't know that the Fleet Beacon is there. There comes the scan. He scans the front there. Sees the shuttles being loaded up, which means that he's going on the offense. He cloaks up his raids. He throws out another scan. The shuttles have left the base. They're going up. He knows they're going up, so he chases them, starts shooting, volley after volley, taking shuttles down very, very quickly. His shuttle is now starting to unload for 458, but those units are forsaken nonetheless. And he just continues chasing because he wants to dodge the storm. Now he goes for the shuttles once again once the storm has been used. And KIMKISSAN is really, really playing a really good anti-drop here. That is pretty much the most... This is a perfect example of how to use your rates and how to use your scans. His SV count, though, is quite low. Did he get hit by a drop, or has he just not been making SCVs all that diligently? Because he should be at about the same mark that 458 is at. The 458 has almost 30 more workers than KIMKISSAN, so that is something to be worried about, because that means KIMKISSAN has been lagging behind of where he should be, although he has been denying 458's attempts at getting in there. Great, great rave views that you don't often see happening. KIMKISSAN is using them to pretty much the best of his ability. He's really, really shutting 458 down, seemingly so easily, because this is pretty much almost no effort whatsoever. At least that's what it looks like, because there's no fighting going on. But it does take a lot of multitasking to keep scanning the front there and always keeping track of those shuttles, which in itself is a really difficult thing to do, because those shuttles can go anywhere. You have to really do your best to keep track. Another scan comes out. This time he scans the fleet beacon. He scanned the fleet beacon. Now he finally has the knowledge that the carriers are on the way, because he might have been thinking that something was off because there was no frontal attack happening yet, even though usually 458 frontally attacks right about the 11:30 or 11:20 minute mark in conjunction with a drop that's going to be coming and flying in here on the bottom side. But KIMKISSAN knows it's coming. He already scanned it there on the bottom side. 458 doesn't think he can go in, so he tries to go in, but the courses are going to attack the Raids. Raids getting scared away, but he cannot go in. Once again, beautifully held by KIMKISSAN. I've rarely seen 458 get denied this hard, and this goes to show how good KIMKISSAN really, really is. He can deny a player like 458 seemingly so ridiculously easy. This is the pinnacle of Protoss, at least the defensive Protoss Terran, I mean. This is the pinnacle of defensive Terran. He's playing this one really well. KIMKISSAN 458 goes in from the top side. KIMKISSAN is not responding. KIMKISSAN finally responds. Will he be able to time it correctly and take down all the shuttles? The shuttle starts to... No! Templar is getting dropped there on the low ground. A couple of shuttles there in between the factories, but nothing too serious. Carriers are now on the way here for 458. They're on the bottom side. He's got 6 carriers on the way. Fleet Beacon has finished up. He's making Disruption Web, which is an interesting choice. I'm wondering how that's going to play out for him. He's got both those upgrades for air on the way. Shields as well, weapon on the ground as well. No armor for ground. That's an interesting choice. A lot of settles there now on the middle. Spamming cannons there on the middle. Just making sure that 458 keeps staying boxed in. KIMKISSAN has been scanning there on the side. No, he has been scanning the base. And he just happened to pick off that probe there while moving towards the base. Is he going for the Nexus? There is a Corsair there to help defend. This is a very risky move here from KIMKISSAN. He doesn't go in. He sees the Stargates there, but decides against it. His upgrades are all on the way. Oh, does he only have 2? He only has 2. He's going for both ground upgrades. He's not going for air upgrades, even though he's got so much air. But he snipes the carrier there, snipes the shuttles there as well. Goes in very aggressively. Now has to make his way out of there because he's getting chased. Nope, no longer getting chased because he's outside of detection range. And he flies away with his raids back to his own safe base. And KIMKISSAN is really making life difficult for 458. And 458 has to be pretty darn frustrated because he honestly has not gotten into KIMKISSAN's base yet in 14 minutes. But 458 does not give up. He's now starting to make cannons here on the side, trying to keep KIMKISSAN boxed in, because once the cannons here are on the side and they're finished up and running, KIMKISSAN can no longer be that aggressive with his raids, because he will fly his raids into those cannons that are on the side. So a great containment measure to try and counter the raids. Now sacrificing those Dragoons there in the front because he needs more supply states for more carriers. Drop coming in here on the bottom side. A lot of scans coming out there from KIMKISSAN. Scouts the front. Sees that he's moving out. Scouts the the play spot where he usually loads up his drops. Sees there's nothing there, so he decides to pull back, but first he has to take care of those Dragoons there on the side. Drop here on the bottom side is going to fly in. He's preparing himself for the frontal attack as well with Zealots and Carriers. Drop here on the bottom side makes its way in. KIMKISSAN is not responding this time around. Will he pull off? He pulls off his SCVs just in time. The SCVs are running to safety, but a lot of stuff there being unloaded. Storm comes down. Storm kills the couple of SCVs, but nothing too serious. But more SCVs there in the back are going. Actually, he killed about all of the SCVs he had on the minerals. So that actually is a huge hit, while he was distracted there in the front, taking down the carriers, because he took down the carriers with the raids. So he manages to stay alive really well. But loses a lot of SCVs in the process, because he was too focused on the front there. Saved almost no SCVs whatsoever. So Great Stormster from 458 manages to finally land with the setup that did cost him all of his carriers, which means that KIMKISSAN does get a lot of time to recover here, because, well, it takes about 40, it takes such a long time for those carriers to finish warping in. And that's honestly perfect for KIMKISSAN, because if KIMKISSAN hadn't taken down those carriers there in the front, it could have become quite a painful game for KIMKISSAN. But given that he managed to kill all those carriers, he has given himself some time to start recovering his SCV count with those 5 command centers that he's got. More scans once again coming out, scans the front, sees carriers, sees units leaving as well. Great timing on the scan. Also goes to show how important scanning can be. Keeping information, tracking shuttle drops, tracking units leaving, all kinds of stuff. But this might be a little bit painful here for KIMKISSAN, because that's 2 level shields, level 1 arm weapon. Or never mind, maybe not that painful. Winds up killing only a depot and a couple of marines are in the back. So not that painful. Not as painful as I thought it would be. No upgrades on the marines. 1-1 upgrades on the tanks. He's got air upgrades on the way this time as well. Like last time I checked. Once again, more cannons being thrown there on the side, trying to contain those raids. But the raids are still on the hunt. On the prowl, looking to kill some stuff. 61 SCVs this time again for KIMKISSAN. He's managed to cap out his supply. Only 61 SCVs is not that many, but lucky for him, he's got his entire base all finished. So his only worry is producing more units once they're killed. He doesn't have to build a base anymore, which really does lower the requirement in the amount of SCVs that you've got on your minerals. He's got that going for him as well. Once again, another scan came out. He scanned the front there. Once again, scans the front again, because he wants to keep track of where those carriers are going. This is honestly one of the best games in terms of how to use your scans to keep track of what the enemy is doing, and scanning specific hotspots in the enemy base. He even sees the Dark Templar being morphed there. So it means that 458 probably does have mind control on the way, or already has it finished up. He's taking his time. He's waiting for the level 3 weapon and armor upgrade for his carriers, or is he waiting for the next wave of carriers and Corsairs to finish up? Because Corsairs do an amazing job in killing raids. Corsairs literally teared through those raids as if they didn't even exist. That's how quick raids go down against Corsairs, because raids tend to be all stacked up, and the Corsair damage really goes up super high, super quick against those paper airplanes flying across the map. Great combination, 12 carriers, a couple of Corsairs there in the mix as well. Throws down a disruption web just to be cheeky and cute. Managed to deal some damage there. Valkyries coming in, ready to kill the interceptors. That's a little bit painful for 458, because interceptors go down so quick against a combination of marines and Valkyries. Do note though, no marine upgrades, and only level 1 weapon upgrade for the Valkyries, whereas 458 is almost on 3-3 for his air. 3 armor, 3 shields, and 3 weapon upgrade. So he decides to go in from the bottom side. A lot of turrets there in the back, marines there in the back as well. Valkyries just have to relocate down to the bottom side here to ready to intercept those. Why is he not using his raids though? Oh, raids now moving into the action. Valkyries coming in, but Valkyries are stacked up, which means that now there's going to be a stasis on top of the Valkyries, and the Valkyries are stasis, which means that the interceptors are no longer going to be dying very, very quick to the carriers. Now the raids are coming in. Raids take down the Arbiter. There's observers here, yeah, but below the carriers, which is going to make it very hard for KIMKISSAN to kill those carriers because the raids are going to go down very, very quick. He'll use his command center there below the fake command center. Now his carriers are getting focused down by the raids and Goliaths and the Marines as well, but they're not going down as quick as they should be. Although now it's starting to look pretty quick. Also, do note he took down all the armories, took out a lot of turrets there on the side as well. Didn't kill any SCVs, so economically speaking, KIMKISSAN is still fine because he can afford to not have a main command center. Basically, he can afford that because his income is still high enough because he's playing Terran, and Terran does not need that many minerals because units kind of don't die that quick. Although against carriers, raids get killed very, very quickly. Goliaths as well. So he might actually get himself in a little bit of a painful situation if 458 can keep killing those units so quick with his carriers. But right now, at the moment, 458 is once again replenishing his carrier count, which he's almost finishing up. But it does take a while. It means that KIMKISSAN can start pushing through the middle here, and I think that he'll be at about this point once the carriers are finished. I thought I saw a drop, but it is the observers. He tried to mind control and probably recall. He recalled the SCV. Right, so he got the mind control on the SCV there on the bottom corner, managed to recall it just in time. So now it means it's a race against the clock for KIMKISSAN, which I hope KIMKISSAN wins, because I honestly hate to see a mind control win. He doesn't even need the mind control, but he got it nonetheless. KIMKISSAN is very quickly pushing out over the middle of the map. And 408 is sacrificing about 30 probes just to open up supply space to make more carriers or maybe more arbiters, maybe a combination of both. Or zealots, of course, because he's making a lot of zealots here right now. He wants a combination of air and ground forces to tear through those forces that KIMKISSAN has here in the front, with which he is trying to get control over the middle. Which I'm rooting for, because I want to see him win. I want to see him push this out and, well, beat 458, because that would be great to see, given KIMKISSAN has played such a great early and mid game with the scans and the Wraith control to snipe those pesky shuttles that 458 kept throwing at him, and only managed to land once. So yeah, a lot of tanks here, a lot of tanks. Tanks don't really do that well against carriers. Stasis comes down on the Valkyries. You should have just split them up. But nonetheless, a lot of Goliaths here on the low ground, but the Goliaths might not be enough to kill the carriers. Arbiter goes down, Arbiter number 2 goes down as well. Carriers are forced to pull back. 10 carriers there. What upgrades does he have now? 2, 2, 2. He remade those armories that he lost earlier. Well, they're in the top side as well. There's a lot of tanks here for KIMKISSAN. But 408 is doing a pretty good job of buying himself time before KIMKISSAN can arrive here in the front. But it is looking very, very scary here for 458. Because look at all those tanks. It looks to be about 20 or 24 tanks and about, well, only 11 Goliaths. Flies in with the shuttle, dropping units on top of the tanks. Great choice there from 458. Clears out a couple of tanks there on the low ground. But the carriers are forced to pull back because the Valkyries are once again unstasised. Meaning the carriers have taken quite some damage on their shields. Goliaths happily eating some cannon shots to the face. Tanks setting up. Tanks unsieging. Leapfrogging forward. Trying to get the push rolling. This is honestly a very, very scary spread there for KIMKISSAN that 458 has to deal with really quick. He's got the stasis energy. Is he going to stasis those Valkyries once again? He hits the stasis. There's a couple of Valkyries still on stasis. But can 458 tear through this mass of units that KIMKISSAN has on the middle here, or will KIMKISSAN come out on top? This is a lot of carriers. I think he's almost on 20 carriers here. Goliaths are doing a great job there, but 458 is abusing the hill there. Though, of course, these stasis Valkyries are providing vision up on the hill, but KIMKISSAN is forced to keep scanning to keep vision of those invisible carriers. And it honestly looks like 458 managed to push through the first wave of Goliath, but another wave of Goliath is now entering the fray. More Goliaths coming in from the base. He's not making more air, he's smoking just Goliaths. But he's forced to push back. He's forced to pull back, or he decides to pull back just to replenish his interceptor count. Dark Templars now also being made en masse. That's a lot of That's way too many Dark Templars. That's over 12, 16, 17, 18, maybe 18, almost 20 Dark Templars now entering the mix, which is going to be very painful for KIMKISSAN, and KIMKISSAN realizes it's painful because he decides to call the DG, tap out, and he's trying to type in Korean, but he didn't turn on the Korean keyboard. But I'm sure that 458 knows what it means. And that was a very exciting second half. A little bit of a... Not much going on in the first half. But that was mostly because KIMKISSAN was shutting 458 down so hard. But 458 managed to turn it around with good control, good choices, and a pretty good hit on the workers. Also do note that even though 458 got the mind control, he didn't need it. He did almost get the factory finished up though. That would have turned this game very, very ugly. So I'm glad he didn't. I'm honestly glad he didn't manage to finish the factory, get those tanks out, and ruin the game. Well played by both players. Hope you enjoyed this one. My casting felt a little bit off here and there, but I am a little bit tired and I just wanted to get one cast in before I went to bed. So I hope that you enjoyed this one. And looking forward to seeing you next time. And next time I'm going to be casting a mirror matchup, or I'm going to cast Mong against whoever I can find. So goodbye. Toodaloo.